you think the Europeans will take you serious? Because we are just ridiculing ourselves. Because there was a time and I'm sure Akwayo was Zimbabwe on Fane Mugabe. Now I call UN. Now also say check. As will be a yawana panebone. The guy could not even stand up, but he was playing president at the war stage, embarrassing everybody. As I'm not on Kai Africa, because we don't believe in young people. We don't believe that young people can do anything. And that is the signature problem across Africa. And to call various ministries, no company, for na ya your ministers and as a former young people or mwaseno or they just look down upon everybody, thinking, say, oh, we are the boss, we know everything. And you know, they will not even mind you. They will not even engage you because we have no fucking respect for young people in Africa. And that is the reason why the continent is like this. Because on mind be overlook the potential of the young people because they hold the trump card when it comes to innovation, when it comes to thinking, when it comes to rich ideas, everything. People willing to take risks, people willing to experiment and bring out the best out of anything. Ninjinaya contingent on young people, but go to the various offices and see how young people are being treated like a shit. Because people are always full of themselves. They think, oh, everything is in control, oh, we are in order. But they continue to mess up. That is exactly what is happening around the continent. Enti po be ya no insulating ho abon ho ban. What in say there has been a constitutional amendment trying to make sure that there is some sense of flexibility. He deceived the people to create the position. Because you create a position now, you will nim nipa kwa appoint. Immediately the constitutional guarantees were created. And today it is hanging on the people. And my culture say we sit here, institute this political comedy, go to the world stage and want to be invited to be involved in any conversation. Nobody will take us serious. My culture said the only aspect of them. So very often I engage a lot with young people who have concerns about democracy, and even a democracy, they am wine a democracy. And I keep telling them, say, who said you are practicing democracy? We are not practicing democracy. We have lifted the convenient part of democracy and we are rolling. That is the convenient portion. But what make it democracy? Why institutions will gel to their ultimate best, where institutional dictate will replace personal convictions and personal dictate and personal predictions. And then we don't allow those things. So don't sit there and tell me democracy has failed in Africa, because nobody is practicing democracy except few, because this is not fucking democracy. People have adopted the convenient aspect of it. Oh, the any man say that is African version of democracy. Beyond that, everything, our own design, our own way, our own convenience, everything. Institutions, no, because all African Kwana individual discretion can override an institutional dictate. Institutional prescription, one person can just roll it out and prevail and will still survive in our part of the world, Africa for you. So young people, blame no democracy. Because the system rolling out here, no matter say this Burkinabe president sitting somewhere saying, oh, democracy is not good for Africa. And I'm saying that particular statement will end that gentleman's reign. Because who makes the rules? And who said, or not has the power to determine what democracy should be and what the people of Burkina Faso aim? No. Because democracy is the only system of government that afford everybody the privilege, the opportunity to get involved, to participate in the governance of your country. It is not up to anybody to sit somewhere and determine which type of government it should be implemented. No. You achieve the dividend, but we are not. Because it has always been a learning curve. let me take you back to America somewhere in 1786, yeah? Thereabout. America starting the democracy, you know, they were doing a certain funny things. And it was that omokoto aba wow benya more vote, you know, when I'll be a president. Wow beto so mienu when I'll be a vice president. And this is why America over the years, you know, there hasn't been any smooth relationship between the president and the vice because of this particular history. And the American president John Adams, when he was president, the bitter rival Thomas Jefferson was his vice president. So you should expect sabotage and those kind of stuff. America go through this system. No, I'm lying. So they have to do, I think, is it the 12th amendment? They have to amend the constitution just to ensure, say, that particular voting pattern will be changed. Because the vice president was always undermining the president because they are coming from two different political parties. Just imagine Kayewo Kroma and Kabatwaya Ekoto ye Mahama na ye president. Baumia na tosu nka automatically Baumia becomes his vice president. You can imagine how tortuous the whole governance thing is going to be like. But in America, that was how they were running the presidency and the vice presidency. And because of that history, there has, from time immemorial, Obama pencil and who said that the president and the vice president were clicking. And in recent times, but it has always been, and to America says here the most, your fans say envious position. Every typical American will be or American politics as in Nimbia, the State Department. We the presidency if it becomes the most powerful position. The Secretary of the State Department. Hona Marco Rubio occupying. Look at the proximity, how close. And today it is rumored in America saying he's even more a bit popular than Vance, who is the vice president. Because every single decision, anything you are involved. And until recently, now who the relationship between the president and the vice president, a bit way kakra, get along. But because of this fractured history, I'm not way. Even though any hosabiumba psychologically, a hanty or more besina, you don't very often see say the way a president and then the Secretary of State, a jelly in America, is always different from how on it. The vice president, Ejele. It has always been like that. So you learn from the past and you move on. But Africa, there we are still stuck in the past. And mistake, 1990, you expect us to move on. I feel crying in the West. You see that then? So my culture says until we become conscious once again and rise against these barbaric happenings in Africa, I'm beginning to make sure so we do things right and within our context, within our own borders, within our own sub-region, we rise to straighten this tortuous path, and speak to these crazy minds out there that even though you are the president of this country, dear, but you cannot be executing such nonsense, especially looking at the timing where modernity has brought civilization. Modernity has brought political enlightenment, where modernity has buried political barbarism. But these people care no less because they are coming from the past. Look at Paul Beya. This is a man plugged from the 12th century, lucky to be alive in the enlightened era. So the mindset is still from the past. Even though he finds himself in the present arena, everything here belongs to the Stone Age. And he's allowed to do everything he's doing because he is surrounded by bootlickers and sycophants. His continuing stay, a benefit yomo. Because Africa, many of the countries and your governance, and your financing machine. The whole African governance architecture is a financing machine. want the individual beneficiaries. So they care no less if the system grind to a halt. No, as long as the status quo no continue to finance their personal urges, continue to finance their individual wishes, no, they are okay to go hallelujah to the system. We are crazy as people. And until this nonsense is corrected, trust me, we will continue to labor, sit here and cry wolf, continue to blame others, continue to blame. But the opportunity we've had, at the end of the day, and some winning cross seminar man for DD on the continent. And see, nobody sorry. Oh, yes, military taking over. And nobody sorry, yes, military taking over. Yes, military taking over. Ghana, and ye ni bia. And can some huna kufuadu bedi in the last 8 years. Ebian ken ne. Ghana is also under a military dictatorship. But Ghana for Niger. Sabi. Ya wa botere wo twen honhom. Enti na bia me catch us said this John Mahama administration is the last leg Ghana democracy gina so. And it cannot afford to fail. Because once it does, that will be the end to Ghana's democracy. And that is why I commend the president once again for bringing hope, restoring confidence, and people once again, the confidence coming back at people in their hope regarding some of the decisions and how the economy is coming to life amidst the global turbulence and the uncertainties. We've not lost ourselves as an economy. And that is what is happening in Cameroon. And I think Africa need to rise and match its potentials, because we will never be respected at the world stage. Now look at the brilliant ideas. President Mahama packaging or the call UN just to have this crime of slavery and then as if for to be signatured and I yanda write it as the biggest crime against humanity. Most of the powerful countries out there voted against it. And America, I have your friend is saying, is it America, their reasons for voting against this way, they issued a statement. Say they are not against the fact that the slavery is something against humanity, but they let me read just portion of it. We regret that the United States must once again remind this body that the United Nations exists to maintain international peace and security. It was not funded to advance narrow specific interests and agendas, to establish unique international days, or to create new costly meetings and reporting mandates. This resolution does threaten the United States has defined long-standing objection to the framing of reparatory justice and duty of reparation for historic wrongdoing. While we acknowledge the horrors of the past, we do not accept this resolution's assertion that historical fact from the feet through the 19th century constitute violation of just conscience, as that term is understood in contemporary international law. The United States does not recognize a legal right to reparations for historical wrongs that were not illegal under international law at the time they occurred. That is Americans' position on this particular thing. Why they voted against it, and the European Union abstained from this whole vote in as a forum. But my culture said this particular thing. How many African leaders what is it will be pushing this particular thing just to make it short, because everybody is busy somewhere running a certain shit show. People like Paul Beya, who is in a vegetative state, who is virtually a potato now, is busy looking at how Obetimi install a puppet, his son, as a vice president and hand over the entire army. Onina osuro say to the idea ombetuno watam dia maneba say ne ban hwe omoso So he's not even ready to look at what is happening at the international stage, let alone support anything. Africa, we have a long way to go. Because until we begin to put our asses together and begin to recognize our values, the potentials of our own people, and how we can pull resources together as a continent and stand on our own, America is doing what it's doing today because we're pulling resources together, we're building a home. Because until you achieve economic dominance, okasa obi antie sanete. Even uko nkurase kura wa mo bere ya abusuahia meeting na sorry a obetimi so ha kwase atenase obo bra ban. It's sanete. That is what is playing out. That is why Africa any voice at the world stage. Because the question is economically, no they na whatever, but they forget every single thing the world is relying on today, aside maybe oil, and as if what comes from Africa, including human resource. But I'm saying young value young people, young value these resources in Intino. We don't even recognize our potential. We don't even know who we are. Because among for the enemy say yam fa mamu emfum sikam fa nye to talk as I say yan country enu say ye chen wo. I am better than you. That is the nonsense part of African politics. Nti among for a brew ko ni nyina no benya bibi no chena be huru no daka kesem o chen wo. That is it about African leadership. In fact, we are sick. And until we change this sick narrative, trust me. Because if there is anybody, I'll bet me turning the fortunes of Africa around that. Nobody will do it for us. America is fighting for its interest. The middle powers are regrouping, also fighting. The question is that we the Africans here, with all the resources, with all the potential, with everything, how are we also positioning ourselves to take advantage of the world that is emerging? Yeah, the near train will be quiet near Kwajibi. AI, a month for a penny, open source. People are experimenting, going up and down. What Africa, home baby? Yet, tell movie, Asiano, na yet, a pre home. And we are not even willing to even go into. The universities are issuing blank statement. Don't use AI. Don't use AI. Is the new world. See a way to modify it just to ensure that people use it as a tool to advance. First, I'm on for back cracking or more here to develop a code as a forum with the right teaching, right direction, right guidance. You don't need to crack your head. The AI will help you quickly to design a code. That is the world that is emerging. But we are traditionally stuck in the old world. Universities are not prepared to look around, navigate around the world that is emerging and see the allowance, how they can help students to take advantage and navigate their way around the world. By the time I never now man for that. Oh, Africa. Oh. It's okay. One day we'll have time and delve into some of these things. Thank you very much. This is Ivan Che, Innocent One here on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok, on X, on LinkedIn, all the channels, let's link up. Subscribe to this channel. Happy Easter and thank you everybody. Always share me. Happy birthday. I'm so grateful. Thank you, and when your opportunity to do that, I'm also grateful. We thank God